My grandparents live in Japan. It's every summer. My parents took me there to visit my grandparents. They live in a small village and have a big backyard. I like to play there in the summer. Upon arrival, they always welcomed me in a very warm way. I'm their only grandchild, so they always pamper me. The last time I saw them was in the summer when I was 8. As usual, my parents booked a flight to Japan, and we drove from the airport to my grandparents' house. They're happy to see me, and prepared a bunch of little gifts to give me. My parents want their own time. So after a few days, they traveled to another part of Japan. Let your grandparents take care of you. One day, I was playing in the yard. My grandparents are in the house. It was a hot summer day, and I lay down on the grass to rest. I look at the clouds and enjoy the feeling of the soft rays and the breeze. I'm about to stand up right now. I heard a strange noise. I don't know what it is, and it's hard to tell where it's coming from. It's like that AA is muttering to itself and they're just saying, constantly with a deep southern voice. I looked around, tried to find out where the noise is coming from, and then I saw something at the top of the fence at the end of the yard. It's a straw hat. It's not on the fence. It's behind the fence. That's where the Kier sound comes from. Then the hat started to move. There's someone wearing it. The hat stopped at an opening on the fence, and I saw a face. It's a woman. But the fence is about 2.5 meters high. I was surprised to see this woman so tall. I think she's out stilettos or some kind of giant high heels. Then she moves on and disappeared with the strange sound of Kier. Confused, I went into the house. My grandparents are drinking tea in the kitchen. I sat down and told them what had happened. They don't really care about me until I repeat that strange noise. As soon as I mentioned it, they immediately froze. My grandmother rolled her eyes and covered her mouth with her hands. My grandfather's face became very serious. Then he took my arm. "This is very serious," he said, with an urgent voice. "I have to tell you exactly how tall she is. Right by the fence in the yard." I said, "I'm starting to get scared." He asked me a lot of questions. "Where has she been since? What has she done? Has she seen you?" I tried to answer all the questions. He suddenly ran out into the hallway and called at AI. "I can't hear what you're saying." I looked at my grandmother and realized she was shaking too. My grandfather went back into the room and told my grandmother, "I have to go out for a while. You're here with the boy. Don't take your eyes off it for a second." "What is going on?" my grandfather cried. He looked at me sadly. "I've been noticed by Hachishakusama." He hurried out, got in the car and left. I turned to her and asked who Hachishakusama was. "Don't worry," she answered me with a trembling voice. "I'll protect you. You don't have to worry." Sitting in the kitchen, she explained to me. She said there used to be a dangerous creature haunts this area. They call it Hachishakusama because of its height. In Japanese, Hachishakusama means 8 feet tall, about 2.5 meters. It appears in the form of a woman, very high, and makes sound in a deep male voice. It appears to look a little different every time someone sees it. Some say it's like an old woman, pale in kimono. Others say it's a girl in a white shroud. There's only one point that's no different. It's the height and the sound it makes. It's been a long time since he was arrested by priests, and they're going to jail. Holding it in a pile of rubble outside the village they used for little statues of a god called Jesus, placed in for east-west directions, north and south of that place to prevent it from getting out. But even so, it gets out somehow. It last appeared 15 years ago. My grandmother told anyone who saw Hachishakusama They're all set to die a few days later. It's all crazy. I don't know what to believe. When he came home, there was a woman with him. She introduced herself as Kasan and gave me a crumpled piece of paper. Say, take it and hold it. So she and I went up to do something. I stayed with my grandmother in the kitchen again. I need to go to the bathroom. My grandmother went to the bathroom and wouldn't let me close the door. I feel really scared because of all this. After a while, he and Kasan took me up to the house and took me to the bedroom. The window is wrapped in newspaper. It's written in ancient letters. There's 4 little salt buckets in the 4 corners of the room, and a small Buddha placed in the middle of the room on a small wooden box. And there's a light blue bucket. What is the bucket for? I asked. Let me go to the bathroom, he replied. Kasa put the bowl down on the bed and said, the sun will set soon, so listen carefully. You have to stay here until tomorrow morning. You can't go out under any circumstances until 7 a.m. My grandparents won't call or talk to me until then. Don't leave the room for any reason. I'll tell your parents what's going on, she said in a grave voice. Makes me just nod. You must follow all the instructions of Kasan, he told me. And never put it down on that piece of paper she gave me. And if anything happens, please pray. And remember to lock the door when we go out there. They're out in the hallway. I closed the bedroom door and locked it. I turned on the TV and tried to see something. But I'm too worried. I feel sick and worried. She let me have chips and rice balls, but I can't eat. I feel like I'm in prison. I feel broken and scared. I lay down on the bed and waited. Then, I don't know when to leave. When I woke up, it was over 1 o'clock in the morning. Suddenly, I realized that something was knocking on the window. My face is pale, and my heart is stopping for a beat. I try to calm down. Tell yourself it's just the wind, or just the branches. I turned up the TV aloud to overturn the knock. It finally stopped. That's when I heard my grandfather calling me. Are you okay? He asked. If you're there alone and you're scared, you can come in to be my friend. I smiled and ran over to open the door, but then my footsteps stopped. My whole body gets goosebumps. This voice is definitely yours. But there's something strange. I don't know what it is, but it feels real. What are you doing? I asked if you could open the door. I glanced to the left, and my spine is freezing cold. The salt in the cup is turning black. I walked out the door. My whole body trembled with fear. I knelt before the Buddha statue and held the piece of paper tight, desperate for help. Please save me from Hachishakusama, I groaned. And then I heard a voice outside the door. The door knocks again. I overcame my fear and my head in front of the statue, half crying and half praying until the end of the night. The salt in all 4 cups has turned black. I looked at the clock. It was 7 o'clock in the morning, and I opened the door carefully. She and Kasan were outside waiting for me. When she looked at my face, she cried. I'm glad you're alive, she said. I went downstairs and was surprised. I saw my parents sitting in the kitchen. My grandfather came and told me to hurry and we have to go. We went out the front door and there was a van. Big Black is waiting for me to roll. Some people in the village stood around, point at me and whisper, "That's the boy. That van has 9 seats. They put me in the middle. There's 8 men around. Mrs. Kasan in the driver's seat." The guy on my left looked at me and said, "I'm in trouble. I know you must be worried. Just keep your head down and close your eyes. We can't see it, but you can. Don't open your eyes until we're safely out of here." My grandfather drove in front of the car. My father followed. When all is ready, our little convoy started to roll. We're pretty slow, about 20 kilometers per hour. Maybe even slower. A moment later, Kasan said this is where we're going to get stuck, and start pleading under his breath. That's when I heard that voice. I lay down and took the raw piece of paper that Mrs. Kassan had put in my hand. I bow my head but peek outside. I saw a white dress flying in the wind. It's following the van. It's Hachishakusama. It's right outside the window, but still catch up with us. And then suddenly he leaned over and looked at the truck. No, I breathed quickly. The man next to me screamed to close his eyes. I closed my eyes as tightly as possible and squeezed the piece of paper up tightly. Then the knocking starts again. Knocking and windows all around us. All people sharing a car are startled and tense. Feel awkward. They can't see Hachishakusama. And I can't hear his voice. But they can hear the knock and the window. Mrs. Casa began to plead louder and louder. It's almost like a scream. In the van, the air is so tense that it's unbearable. A while later, the knocking stopped and the voice disappeared. Kassan turned to look at us and said, I think we're safe now. Everyone around me is breathing. Relieved, the van pulled to the side of the road, and the men walked out. They put me in my father's car. My mother held me tight. Tears streamed down my cheeks. He and my father saluted. The men were on the road together. Mrs. Kassan walked to the window and told me to hold up the piece of paper. She gave it to me. When I opened my eyes, I see it's all black. I think you're okay now, she said, but just to make sure I have to hold this for a while. She gave me a new piece of rice paper. Then we went straight to the airport. Grandfather is waiting below. Until we found out we were on the plane. Safe. When we took off, my parents breathed a sigh of relief. My father said Kier had heard of Hachishaku before. Sama, years ago, he noticed my friend. He's gone. And never to be seen again. My father said he's noticed a lot of other people, and they survived to be able to talk about it. They all had to leave Japan and settle abroad. They can never go back to their homeland. He always chooses children as victims. They say that because children depend on their parents and relatives in the family, this makes them easier to fool when it can transform into their parent. Dad said the men in the car are the ones who have sex, blood with me. And that's why they're sitting around me. And at cell my father and grandfather sat in front and back. It's all about fooling Hachishakusama. It takes a while to get in touch with people and get them together. That's why I had to stay in my room all night. He also said that the Jisoo figurines were broken. And that's how it escaped. I'm covered in chicken skin. I'm so glad to finally be home. That happened over 15 years ago. I haven't seen my grandparents since. A few weeks later, I decided to call and talk to your grandparents on the phone. It's been too long. Over the years, I've tried to convince myself that it's just a legend, that everything has happened. It's just a clever joke. But sometimes I'm not sure. My grandfather passed away 2 years ago. When he was sick, he wouldn't let me visit and leave only stern instructions. In your opinion, I was not allowed to attend your funeral. I was so sad about that. My grandmother called a few days ago. She said she was diagnosed with cancer. She missed me so much. He wanted to see me one last time before he died. My grandmother asked if it was safe. It's already 15. She said it happened a long time ago. Everything has gone into oblivion. I grew up. You're sure there won't be any more problems? But what about Hachishakusama? I asked. Moments later, the phone is silent. And then I heard a deep southern voice saying,